Welcome back to another expert episode. This week I'm joined by Emma Bright, one of the PerformerPreneur associates whom I'm chatting to throughout season 3 of the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast to help you navigate your pivot, careers and big dreams with ease. Emma is the founder of Embody Dance Studio and creator of Future Dance Teachers. With over 17 years experience running her own dance studio, she stumbled across a problem as the students hit their teens. Many of these super talented dancers knew they wanted to assist and teach but lacked some fundamental leadership skills. There was clearly a gap in the market, and so Emma, with her PerformerPreneur tenacity, decided to fill it by creating a CPD pathway. Through her Future Dance Teachers program, Emma is helping the next generation of dancers step into leadership, building skills like communication, confidence, responsibility, and presence, both inside and outside of the studio. Emma can help you with exactly that problem too. So if you're listening in, let's talk about leadership, let's talk about presence, let's talk about power. Emma, I'm so excited to have you here to shine your light on these subjects with our PerformerPreneur listeners. Welcome, my lovely.
Thank you for having me.
You are listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur. Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm really excited. We're going to explore all of these topics and more. We want to know all about you. We want to know all about how you can support the performers through the PerformerPreneur Associate Scheme and I'm calling us the PerformerPreneur Pivot Support Crew. Like, it feels like the backstage team to a show. If you're building a business, if you're pivoting out of the industry, if you're looking for new ways to build your career and your identity, then I have got the person for you. That's how I'm kind of like believing and building this. And you are the person that I would love to introduce to the listeners for those skills that you have already, created a course and a pathway for: leadership, communication, confidence, responsibility, presence. So many of us think we have these, but I'm sure you're going to tell us in this episode some key kind of pointers and ways to develop them further. So before we go there, let's hear a little bit from you about you. So start from the beginning. Tell us who you are, what you did, what you do.
Yeah, so I have always loved dance, and from about the age of 9, always wanted to be a dance teacher, but didn't know how to get there. And took a university pathway into like BA Honours dance, and fell in love with dance in the community, dance with SEND and older people. From there pivoted to a dance school, which is inclusive of everybody. So our ethos is giving everybody the chance to dance, which became a dance studio, which became Future Dance Teachers alongside the studio.
It's an incredible story and journey. I actually know a lot more about the story and journey because of how closely we're working. Emma is actually adding a chapter into the 2nd edition of the Spotlight on Success book. It's an incredible read. Like you say, you've just said very, very kind of quickly there, those different stages in your evolve, like as you've evolved, and it's really incredible to read. So that's coming in the future, listeners. But right now, I'm taking that little snippet of who you are and what you do. I'd love you to now share how you are supporting others to become the best version of themselves too.
I'm at the very beginning of this journey to support others, but I think it's starting with telling my story. And then hopefully evolving into, I don't know what yet, but to be there if somebody wants confidence, if somebody wants to hear it real, and for guidance on leadership and communication, how to grow a team. I've got a team of 10 at the moment at the studio. And yeah, just that kind of nudge to get started.
And Bookso and I, in the last expert episode, listeners, do go listen to that. We actually spoke quite intensely, passionately about the fact that people, especially performers, aren't asking for help soon enough, or not at all. You know, they think they've got to be competitive rather than collaborative. And we kind of was breaking that narrative down and saying, look, the more help you ask for, the more support, the more information you get, the better you will become and the quicker. And so you're absolutely right. By telling your story, by stepping up and saying, look, come and ask me, I am a step ahead of you, and what I know will help you, is absolutely the place to start. But you have already created this framework, this pathway, sorry, for the younger generation. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is relative to any age, right?
Yes. As part of the course, the dance studio owners kind of deliver it to their own children. And actually, as they're going through it, they're like, oh, I didn't know that I wasn't communicating this to them. I didn't know that I wasn't doing this with my own team. And they're kind of learning as they go through how to lead. Teens are very different to children, and then adults are the next kind of step ahead. And they've kind of used the information from there to then like add to their team and use all that they need within their leadership as well.
100%, because you don't know what you don't know.
Mm.
And you can bumble along doing very well with what you do know, but once you start adding to that catalogue of information and getting that insight and inspiration from others, you find that you develop this whole new version, this bigger, better person. I'm just such an advocate of learning from other people a step ahead of us and on that journey. What would you say then some of those problems are that people don't realize they've even got, let's say with communication? What are the things that you've found and the things that you've had to teach?
So within the future teachers, it's about getting on the children's level. And so that can be applied to getting on the level of whoever you are talking to, like the person-centered approach, which I say about in my chapter that I developed by working with older people in residential care, and how to work with people, not against them, how to make people feel like seen, heard, and valued. We've all heard that before. And how to approach kind of leadership when actually you're not that confident yourself. I'm not the most confident person. Like even this is kind of rocking me a little bit talking about this. And it's about actually you don't need to step into a different version of yourself. You can be yourself within leadership and be yourself within leading your team, and don't lose yourself in that. Stay true to who you are and your ethos and your values, and actually you will attract the right people. The right people will work for you and kind of lead alongside you, really.
I love that because it's so true. I think especially in the age of social media, comparisonitis, like you just think I've got to do this, I've got to say that. So as much as this CPD course and your skills and your understanding and information about leadership are teaching, they're not asking anyone to change. And that's the bottom line. Be yourself, take what you can from the information and develop it in a way that suits you authentically. I love that. What skills did you have from your dance career that transitioned super well into what you're doing now?
It all transfers, doesn't it? When we think of ourselves as performers, like there's that element of discipline which will always be there. The element of passion, I think, is huge with performers, and I think I've tried to put as much passion into everything as possible. And sometimes I have to rein myself back a little bit. And I think the way my course is structured is it's for dancers by a dance teacher, so it's visual. It's appealing to like the learning styles that we know dancers have. So I think that's important as well. It's like meeting people where they are, again, saying the same thing again. And I've completely forgot what the question was.
The skills, well, like you'd said, the transferable skills were
Yeah,
all of them. And
yeah.
my worry is, and I think we're definitely changing this worry, and this thought is getting smaller for many, that they don't believe that a dancer can be something else, that a performer can evolve into another thing. Through, learned behavior or self-talk or just complete belief that it's not possible for them too. But by speaking to people like yourself and the other experts and the books that I've helped collaborate and write, we're breaking down that absolutely everybody has a next spotlight in them. When did your next spotlight appear? So from dance school owner to
So
program, deliver, write, create.
So it was out of a genuine need and notice of my own students that wanted to develop leadership skills and were very underconfident. So these were students from like 11 plus, um, asking like, can I assist in classes? And I was thinking, not really, you're not ready. So it was part of the need to create something for my own children, created something for my own students. And I had a moment when I was stood at the side of the stage and the program had been running for like its first year in my studio. And the students, I asked them to take a bow. And they lined up, and I expect them to hold hands and bow together. And actually, what they did naturally is each single one of them stepped forward and took their own bow, like a teacher bow. And it just showed me how much their mindset had changed and how they were now teachers in their heads, in reality. And I had this moment at the side of the stage when I was just like, oh my. And I thought to myself, if this can affect the children so positively within my dance studio, why can it help and affect others in a positive way? And that's when I really thought, wow, this could be something that's scalable. So I came home to my husband. I said, right, this is what we're doing now. And he said, okay. So and that is how it all started, really.
So you've mentioned mindset there, and I think that is a massive part. And you've helped change the mindset of these young adults. How can we change our own mindset? Because I'd said that many people that come to me don't believe there's another spotlight in them. They don't believe there's another chapter. They don't know how to use their transferable skills differently. And collectively, through the associate program that we're trying to push out there into the world, with all these different strains of support, effectively we want to showcase that there's so many opportunities, but it has to start within. So is there any mindset tips that you would give our listeners today to try and switch that I can't to I can?
I think start before you're ready. Like I was never, I wasn't ready to do this, but I made a start. And I think that's a mindset thing. As long as you're starting, like I know when I was starting to write the chapter for the book, you were like, it's uncomfortable at first because you've not done it before, but you just need to start. And I think the start thing's a huge thing. I think the fact that evolution won't always be comfortable, like it is gonna hurt. But it is necessary to kind of like in my head I kind of see it as like I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and like the Phoenix Forks as he changes in Dumbledore's office, like I kind of feel like you're stripping the layers and like the Phoenix, and then you have to go back to zero again, and then you build again, and then he dies again. That's kind of how I see it in my head. And I think the other thing is like mindset wise, don't wait for permission for like someone to say like you should do that or do it, or yeah, I think that'd work, because actually not everybody can see your vision the way you see it. And I think I've spent a long time waiting for permission to do things, and actually giving yourself permission to go ahead. And I know my chapter comes down to a lot of play and developing and giving yourself the permission to start from scratch and play and develop. And the first time you start something, it's going to be simple, and that's okay. So, and the other thing I think is surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, and talking with like-minded people like in PerformerPreneur and things like that. It just you're with creatives.
Well, you
So
realise what's possible by looking at what other people are doing. But there's a real double-edged sword in that moment. And what I hope Performerpreneur does is shine a light on all of the possibilities, but also meets you where you're at and says exactly that. It's like, start small, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't ask for permission. Don't compare. All of those things you've said, and you're absolutely right. And then gradually your confidence builds. And then when you look back a year from starting, you're a hell of a lot further than you thought. And those tiny little hurdles have been leapt, and success is, there for your taking. And it's just such a fabulous process, but it does start from that mindset shift inside. I'm going to pause there and add a quick ad because I've got a fabulous workbook that will help people to just pin down what their actual big dream could be, what the reality of that could look like. So here we are with a quick ad. If you're feeling stuck and unsure what your next spotlight could be, start with my Dream Big workbook. It's completely free and designed to get you excited about your next act. Simply follow the prompts, get curious, and start gaining clarity. Because right now, you don't need a 5-year plan. You just need to take that very first step. You can download the Dream Big workbook for free via the link in the show notes below. Go on, go get started on your next big dream. And welcome back. So just a quick ad there, and back to Emma and all of her fabulous information and expertise. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about advice. What was the best piece of advice that you've ever had?
Oh, the last thing my grandma ever said to me was look after yourself. And I think that for me is something that I haven't always done. So I think that simple bit of advice, look after yourself, would be
Amazing. And that's both mentally and physically, right?
yeah, look
And,
after yourself.
and by following your heart and joy and your dreams, then you are looking after that part of you that's so, so important as well, which is that thing that gets you up in the morning. What gets you up in the morning, Emma?
At the moment, my little boy, but quite literally, what gets me up in the morning? I just love to pass on passion to other people. I love creating. I love dance. I love kind of igniting a spark in other people, and especially like teenage girls in particular. I think it's such a hard phase of life, and if I can make that phase of life a little bit better for even one young girl whose passion is dance, then to me I've achieved something.
No, I love that. It's giving me goose pimples. And it actually leads me on to pointing out to the listeners that I don't even need to point this out. There's a whole bunch of reasons that I invited Emma into the associate circle. And I think you can hear it for yourself, listeners, exactly why. The passion, the drive, the excitement, the joy, and the fact that you are not a gatekeeper. You want to give that excitement, that joy, that information, those stepping stones, those building blocks to other people. And unfortunately, I don't find that to be in everybody. And that's absolutely fine. But when somebody has that wonderful openness, it's just so important to let the next generation of dancers, of performers who are pivoting, to let them see and let them trust and then let them believe. And so, listeners, you can see exactly why Emma is on the team to help you grow and help you step out of the industry and pivot successfully, because she's here with information, with support, with love and joy in our heart, and wants you to succeed. So those people listening that are considering a pivot, they're tentatively on the other side of the stage door thinking, I know this isn't for me for much longer, forever, right now, whatever those thoughts are, they're personal to you. What would your advice to them be?
I think it's do something that aligns with your values. So throughout my whole career, it's been giving everybody the chance to dance. And every time I've looked at a decision or looked to going into something, I've thought, is it aligning with that phrase? It's easier for me to do a phrase than a list of values. So I think if it's something that you're passionate about, then that's what you need to do. Follow your heart and your own path. Like, don't be afraid to create your own path. when I looked into future teachers, there was nothing that had been accredited for children as young as 11. Like it hadn't been done. And I had to really like dig deep and kind of talk to the right people about how do I do this accreditation for 11-year-olds. And we had stumbling blocks along the way, but I think it's that sort of like be inquisitive, but stick to your values and your ethos, and follow your own path really, and you can do it. Like if I can do it, you can do it.
Well, and that's another thing that I look at the lineup, and no disrespect to you, me, or any of us, but we're all just performers. That's what we told ourselves for all those years. Yet look at the incredible things that we've done. And we are a few of many who have also gone on to do incredible things. So if like Emma says, if we can do it, you can absolutely do it too. And I think performers underestimate the performance element of running a business. Like they think, oh well, I'm just a performer. I don't really see myself as an entrepreneur. I love performing, so maybe I want to go do something that still aligns with that. But they're not seeing the performance elements and the success and the spotlight within business. Would you agree running a business has some parallels?
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying previously about like how we are not the shining example, like we are real. And I think going back to things I'd say is make yourself uncomfortable. Like even this now, I'm like, oh gosh, she's saying nice things about me. I don't know whether I'm very comfortable with that. But then accepting that and moving on, I think is a really good thing. And again, I forgot the question that was in the start, but yeah, I think
The
you
parallels with performing and business, because I see so many.
so many that I mean, you're the leader, aren't you, at the end of the day? You are that person that people go to. Um, and you are kind of like the front of the ship, like you are leading, and you have got to be that person that is presenting yourself, but also presenting everybody else. Um, and that has got an element of performance to it. Um, Not fakery, but an element of performance, and this is where we are going. Nobody is going to follow somebody who is unsure.
Well, and that is the thing, isn't it? We've learned through our performer training, through our careers, through those moments on stage and off, that we're resilient, that we can put on a show, that we can step onto the stage when we were nervous, not 100% sure of the steps, and we can smile through it, get on with it, pull it off, and take a bow at the end. And I think these are the things that make performers super successful business owners once they dare to transition and believe that it's possible for them too. Because every day we're just learning. We're learning, we're doing, we're being resilient, we're making it up as we go along, and we are going back to that training mentality of putting the effort in, doing the work. And you said that you hit some real hurdles building your pathway and program, but you persevered. And probably because somewhere along the line you'd had a couple of knockbacks in your career, and you still had to get up and go and do the next class and go to the next audition and teach the next student. And we've been built to take those knocks and carry on as well. And so I think very much so, like you're saying, that performance element and leading your own business, your own life, and those people that you bring on along the way with you, is definitely a performer skill. And talking
It's
about
definitely
leadership and building a team, you have built a team, you said in the intro, of 10 teachers, was that?
yeah, teachers and admin staff and systems people. So they're not all teachers, but predominantly teachers. Yeah.
And that's super tricky. I haven't got to the point of having a team in that way. Like I'm bringing on you guys and associates, but I see you very much as peers. Talk to the listeners about that growth moment. Like when do you hand it over? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so when I stepped away from teaching at the studio, oh my. So that's like the most like asked question people ask me. They're like, how have you got the studio and you're doing future teachers? And it came to a point where I had trained my team so well that they were asking for more. They were asking for more responsibility. They wanted more hours. They wanted more classes. And I was at a very pivotal point where I was like, the studio and Embody is my baby. It's 17. It's time for it to go to university and let go. Like I felt like it was really like that stage. So I made a conscious choice that actually I was going to let them follow their own path and let them create and let them have the ownership of their own classes and things like that. Was it hard? Oh my goodness. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life is childbirth. But apart from stepping away, like that conscious stepping away was completely my decision. And nobody told me to do it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And it took me 12 months to calm my head down and pivot internally, not just like in my head, but like I was used to working nights. And this might be the same for performers, but probably will be. It was all evening work. And actually, future teachers now, I operate during the day. So for good like 6 months, I felt like quite jet lagged, quite like, oh, I sitting there at night, like, I don't know how to relax. I don't know how to be in the evenings. So that was really tricky. But yeah, I made the conscious decision to do it because if I hadn't have done it, then future teachers wouldn't be what it is now. I wouldn't have been able to evolve the future teachers. I would have ran myself into exhaustion, which nobody wants, going back to taking care of yourself. Um, but I knew that future teachers would impact more children. And if it had a little bit of the impact that it had at my studio, then it was worth me kind of sacrificing my teaching for.
I
Um,
mean, it's a great point, and you've said a few things there. So I'm going to just say something personal now. So
yeah.
Manic is 20 years old, and you have just said at 17 letting it go to university. And I've just literally had this light bulb of like, right, 20. It's had a bit of a gap year, let's not lie, Manic. If we're going to talk about what you have just said has really kind of resonated with me. And I'm like, right, let's think of Manic as a child. And so
Yes.
it has had a gap year. I've been away for a couple of years. It's definitely done its thing, but not to the degree that it did. So now I'm thinking, okay, that was its gap year, but now it needs to go to university. And there has been talk about bringing on some support, building a team, or just closing the bugger down and being like, right, they've given up. But now that's just really opened my eyes. Think, okay, let's send it to university. Let's see what that looks like. And that was one thing. But the other thing that you were saying that I also think the listeners should be picking out there is that pivot moment. And you'd said performers are working days, nights, unsociable hours. And I think many of my clients come to me and they say, look, I missed a wedding or two. I have not been there to be the auntie that I want to be. And they feel a little bit guilty of both reasons there, that they're missing out selfishly, but also that they're failing in wanting to perform. And I think listening to you there, just saying, look, it's going to feel like a huge flip. You'll feel all the emotions, but eventually you'll come out the other side and you'll be regulated and you'll be happy. That's the other thing that I was hearing with that. And if you're building a business, then Emma's absolutely right. You have to, there's only 100% of us all, right? If you're giving 50% to your child, 10% to your dog, 20% to the husband, you haven't got a lot left to divide them between two businesses or one business and a dream or a performing career and a side hustle. There has to be moments where you say, right, how much have I got left and how do I want to divide it? So I just think, without you knowing it, Emma, there's so much gold in what you say because you're so authentic with the way you say it and you're living it. And that is the biggest part. You're living these versions of life that the rest of us aspire to or are intrigued by or want to do. So how does your life look now? Like, how would you summarize what life is for you?
I would like to say, so I have now been out of teaching for literally 12 months, and um, I just feel able, I feel like I've been enabled. I think that's the word, enabled. Like I've been enabled to spend time with my little boy. I've been able to have my evenings back, but I've also been enabled to explore a different way of working and getting, I mean, it's just been a huge learning curve. But my life, I just feel happy and balanced. I don't think I realized when I was at the studio how much I was doing, how much I was sacrificing, especially like in my home life and things like that. And I think the only way I could see that was by stepping away. And maybe that's the same for performers. Maybe it's kind of, there's also that element to it, isn't there? That we're doing something we love. So we will miss the wedding. We will miss out on the school assembly. Like, and it comes to the point where I feel like I've done that and I've come out the other side, a bit like the Phoenix again.
Well, I love the visual of the Phoenix. I absolutely need to go watch that part of the movie just to really like embed it because it's such a great one. What I'm hearing when you're talking is all of the things that your future dance teacher course incorporates. I'm just going to go back to my notes. Building skills, including communication, confidence, responsibility, and presence. These are all the things that have shone through your conversation today. So you've taken what you are and what you know, what you've worked through, what you've become, and you have put it into a program, a CPD program, and that's no easy feat. Like this has got accreditations, and it's a real thing, not just a lovely nice to have. That this is an actual CPD qualification, but it's incorporating all of the things that you are and you have become. You're very good at communicating. You've got this lovely confidence. You've got this responsibility, like you said, to look after yourself, to make sure dance is accessible. You've got this beautiful presence, and you are wanting to be present, present for your family, present for the dance school, present for these children. So I don't know if you've ever noticed that synergy, but you have become your future dance teacher qualification. You've got all of those wonderful things.
No, I've never even realized that, to be quite honest. I just put in what I thought they needed, but I didn't realize it was a collection of maybe what I had discovered.
It seems it to me, but who knows? There's definitely some thoughts around that, but it's beautiful to see. So if anybody is listening today, Emma, and they're thinking, right, I need some support from the PerformerPreneur Circle, from these associates. I'm listening to Emma's episode. She can help me get that confidence, that leadership, and the responsibility to move into my next pivot. So not necessarily into dance teaching, just taking ownership of their next idea, their next big dream. What kind of performer do you think you can help? What do they need to have about them?
As long as you've got a little bit of passion, no, a lot of passion. As long as you've got a lot of passion and an idea, I think that's all you need. And the willingness to evolve.
Open heart, open mind,
That's it.
passion. Surely every single performer's got passion.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, good on you all. You've all got passion, but do you realize that passion can be matched with purpose and a whole new world can open up? What's the best no, I've already asked you that one. One habit, one business habit. So if somebody is listening, they're thinking, right, I want to start a business. I've listened to this conversation. I've got the idea. I've got the tenacity. I've got the enthusiasm. I've got the support and the information and the people in the circle. What habit or habits do you think they need to start compounding early on?
I I don't know. I don't think I was ever aware of any sort of business habits. I'm not a overly business-minded person. Like I don't read business books and things like that. I'm very much driven by people and inspiration. So I think my personal advice would be gain your inspiration, surround yourself with other people, and go that way with it. In terms of tiny little habits, I'm a Swiftie as well. So sometimes I get stuck in like a rut, and I have a snow globe, and it plays one of her songs, and it's a 3-minute song. So I will literally sit back, turn over my snow globe, play the 3-minute song, and then return once the 3 minutes is over. And then I feel like I've had a refresh and a bit of Taylor Spirit. And that seems to work for me. It's just that kind of taking 3 minutes out and knowing I don't have to rush things. But that's just a tiny little one, not necessarily business, but something that works for my learning and working.
100%. And you're gonna have to find these little habits yourself. But I think it's good to hear that you have no specific business habits. I would like to challenge you on that and say I'm sure that you have, but again, that mindset and that reframe, you haven't, and I think this is really fabulous and important for the listeners to hear. You haven't suddenly decided to call yourself an entrepreneur. You're still very much a creative, and you're still very much a performer, and you're building a business, a hugely successful business, without deciding to jump ship, some might think, and call yourself an entrepreneur. So I think that's refreshing as well. And then you've got somebody like me that's like performer turned multi-passionate entrepreneur. Everybody is different, and we're all going at different speeds. We're all going in different directions. But the people that you're going to find on this podcast and in the circle are all driven by passion and purpose, and that desire to be everything that they want to be, and not being too scared to do that. So what would you suggest people listening start doing as soon as possible?
Making a start. Just making a start. Just whatever it is, just make that start. Every time I do something, so each time I created a new level of my course, it was just like, I don't care what it looks like. I just need to make a start. As long as you're making a start, you've achieved something that day. Even if it's something that you go back and change or adapt, it's just making that start. So if your start is connecting with somebody else, that's your start. I think just taking action.
And then what should they stop doing? It's probably the opposite. Start making a start and stop procrastinating. But what other things could they stop doing?
Waiting for permission. I think we've covered that, haven't we? Stop doing. I think when I stopped trying to be somebody I wasn't, that was when things happened. When I stayed true to me is when things happened. So don't feel like you have to be somebody else. I think stop trying to be somebody else. I'm here, my flaws and all, like, and whenever I've followed something that's true to me, it's been that thing that has worked.
And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were saying things like, stop trying to be like the 40, well, you don't try and be the 4-year-old you. That's the point, isn't it? Like, but we all try and stick to still being that 21-year-old us, like the dream that you set out with at 19, 20, 21, 25. We're all still trying to be that person, but at 35, 40, 45, books those in our 50s. So great examples of evolving. Stop trying to be somebody else, but also stop trying to be that person, that past version of you. Things in life have happened since then. You're allowed to change and you're allowed to evolve. Nobody is still expecting to want to be an astronaut like they were when they were 4. And everyone has permission at that point to be like, okay, that's not the dream I want to follow anymore. And so this is what the podcast was saying. And at some point we get stuck with a version of our dream that we don't dare step away from, yet, life changes, and that course can change too. I would love people to reach out, to ask us questions, to come into my inbox. Head over to the PerformerPreneur website, where you'll find Emma's picture on the Network of Associates page. There's a link to connect with her, to ask any questions, to ask me to connect you, and all of those things. So please do that. And also, Emma, share with us some socials so that I can put them in the show notes and people can find you directly. So let us know what they are, please.
So yeah, it's just at Future Dance Teachers. So Facebook and Instagram. I don't have my a personal one, so it is just at Future Dance Teachers.
And do find, Emma, if you have any of these holes in your knowledge or your mindset, because yes, Future Dance Teachers is for 11 to 14-year-olds, but actually what Future Dance Teachers is for us as performerpreneurs and as adults is inspiration. It's like, look what Emma has done. Look what she created. Nobody had done this before her. Look how far she's come, and she's exactly like me. And so find her, ask her some questions about life, about leadership, about confidence, about business. Or if you're a dance school that wants the Future Dance Teachers program, or you're a dancer that thinks, I would love to do this, then that's cool too. But in terms of Performerpreneur and how we as the Pivot Support Crew want to support you, is just find the people that align with you, ask them questions, be inspired. We are here to absolutely hold your hand and support you. Emma, what would be the last few things you want to leave with the listeners before I close off the show today?
As in bits of advice or
whatever is bubbling up that you haven't yet said. It could be
I do think it's important to say that I'm not a coach. I've not had any like business training or anything like that. So if you did contact me, what you'd get would just be advice or even just a sounding block. I haven't had any formal training or anything like that. So it would just be peer-to-peer support. I think that's important to say. And yeah, you can do it.
Peer-to-peer support. You ended that sentence with important to say, but what I hoped you were going to say, it's important, full stop. Peer-to-peer support is equally as important as that coach, as that mentor, just somebody that gets it. And you absolutely get it and more. Let me just add that last line. Emma, you are a delight. I'm so glad that you've come into the Performerpreneur world. I'm so glad you've come in with your open heart to share your knowledge, your expertise, your joy and your love with the listeners. I really hope that people reach out and ask for some support, because I know that you'd be a perfect person to answer those questions. Ladies and gents listening, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please pop back every week for a different expert, a different perspective, a different sounding board, and then also listen out for those Q&A sessions. If you have a question, drop it into the show notes below or DM one of us and we'll get that read out live on the Q&A session. Emma, it's been a fabulous pleasure to have you here. I hope you've enjoyed it and you weren't too unnerved by it.
No, I got used to it after a while. Thank you.
And we'll see you on again in the winter season. Big love, my darling.
Bye.
Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining me here on the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast. So until next time, please do take a little bit of action, that very first step, and make sure that you are doing something for you and your Showbiz Side Hustle this week to move you forward and get you heading quickly and swiftly and strategically towards success.